Hello and welcome to the Best What If channel on YouTube, where you can get caught up with my best stories. Today is part 12 of my what if story about Kurapika taking on the Phantom Troupe. If you're new, be sure to check out the playlist on my channel to find the full story in order. But if you're ready, the next episode starts now. Kurapika tries fighting back, but Chrollo and Fink's teamwork overwhelms him to the point where Kurapika decides he has to try and just survive until Killua or Gon can help him. But that's easier said than done. Finks is leading the attack, with Chrollo staying a safe distance away until he sees a moment to strike. Any chance Kurapika gets is swiftly interrupted and turned against him by the two Troupe members. In a desperate act, Kurapika enhances his strength enough to cave in a large portion of the roof with a single stomp of his foot, causing him and Finks to fall down to the floor below. Kurapika quickly draws his pistol and tries finishing off Finks, but Finks instantly finds cover from Kurapika's barrage of bullets behind some rubble. Kurapika pushes forward, knowing Chrollo must be rushing over to assess the situation. Not wanting to waste his chance, he slams his chains down to the floor, close to Finks, further caving it in and creating separation between the three fighters. Chrollo sees Finks below Kurapika, but decides instead of helping to begin the preparations for his Melody Hatsu. While Kurapika tries battering Finks with his chains, with little options at this range, Finks begins gathering the rubble around him and using his incredible strength to launch them at Kurapika, but with little success, as Kurapika easily bats them away with his chains. It's annoying how good this kid is, Finks thinks, as he waits for Chrollo's assistance. But instead he is surprised by Kurapika leaping down from the floor above and slamming his fist down, creating a huge hole at least 2 floors deep. Finks is able to avoid any damage, but finally realizes Kurapika's plan. He's trying to force the fight to the lower floors, hoping his buddies will reach him sooner. It's really annoying how good this kid is, but it won't matter, Finks says as he finally reaches 100 spins with his arm, then boldly calls out, "I'm all cranked up and ready to go now." Kurapika wonders, is this a message for me or Chrollo? But just as he locks eyes with Finks, he feels Chrollo's aura dangerously close to him. So Kurapika blindly swings behind him and learns he was correct, as Chrollo barely dodges Kurapika's attack and counters with one of his own, sending Kurapika falling to Finks' waiting arms. Kurapika quickly uses his chains to swing to a safe spot out of Finks' immediate range, giving him just enough time to avoid one of Finks' tremendous kicks. Kurapika quickly conjures up a simple smoke bomb, then tosses it behind him as he dashes away out of the Troupe members' sights. Kurapika draws his pistol again as he tries catching his breath, but knowing his time is numbered, his mind races thinking of a plan. He hears the floor beneath him rumble, and he assumes that Finks is attacking from below, but thankfully it's Gon, bursting in from the lower floors. Kurapika and Gon see each other but waste no time celebrating. Kurapika warns Gon of the Troupe members hot on his tail, so Gon readies himself as he also assures Kurapika that Killua is close by, and like clockwork, Killua hops into the room from the same opening made by Gon. Killua is obviously tired but still stops to ask Kurapika if he's hurt. Thankfully, not much, Kurapika answers, but Finks and Chrollo will be here any minute to try and change that. "Don't worry about Finks," Gon says. "If me and Killua rush him, we should take him out no problem, and then we can finish Chrollo 3-on-1. Kurapika pats Gon on the back saying, "I agree, I can stall Chrollo as long as I'm careful, and I doubt Finks can counter both of you." Killua also nods his head, ready to do whatever it takes to win. He then readies his Godspeed and rushes out into the smoke with Gon right behind him, trying to keep up. Kurapika thinks to himself, "I need to remember to thank these guys when this is over," before he heads out into the smoky battlefield. He can also see Finks trying to catch Kurapika, but doesn't see Chrollo. He tries to carefully climb back up to the roof, but he is met face to face with a trap. A set of thread much like Machi's is connected to a tripwire explosive. Kurapika carefully avoids it, wondering if there is some way Machi is still in the fight, but he is interrupted by Chrollo, who skillfully attacks Kurapika with his signature knife. Kurapika dodges several close calls before he manages to disarm Chrollo. Finally, he readies his judgment chain to finish the Phantom Troupe's leader once and for all. But Chrollo gracefully avoids the chain while running straight to Kurapika. Chrollo then tackles his rival to the ground, but Kurapika quickly recovers, kicking Chrollo off of him and getting back to his feet. Kurapika didn't realize Chrollo's true motive for closing the distance until he noticed his earplugs had been taken out in the split second they were both on the ground. Damn, Kurapika thinks, as he frantically checks his surroundings for Melody. Again, he sees his friend's body, destroyed and fixed beyond recognition, struggling to get into position to play her instrument. With little time to think, as Melody starts to play the Dark Sonata, Kurapika enhances his strength to unleash a thunderous clap, with his hands as close as he can to both ears. This bursts Kurapika's eardrums, leaving nothing to hear but a painful, deafening ring. Chrollo assumes the pain on Kurapika's face is from the Dark Sonata, luring him into a sense of security. This allows Kurapika to surprise Chrollo by grabbing Chrollo's leg with his chain. Kurapika can't hear, but he shouts out, "It's over, Chrollo." But Chrollo has one more trick up his sleeve. He compliments Kurapika's resolve, but promises nobody is willing to go as far as he is. Chrollo opens his book, flipping through various pages with all the deceased Phantom Troupe members, until he reaches Phaeton. Kurapika tries pulling Chrollo in closer, but is unable to overpower his deceptively strong foe. Chrollo raises a hand, letting out a ball of energy as he laughs. "If this means the spiders will live on, I'll destroy everything here. As long as the spider survives, I will live on in it." Kurapika is confused, but can tell a huge attack is coming, so he reluctantly releases Chrollo from his grasp. Chrollo unleashes Phaeton's Hatsu Rising Sun as Kurapika scrambles for cover. But the Nin Ball is extremely powerful and explodes on impact with Heaven's Arena. The explosion causes the sharp point of the building to break off and fall into itself, causing even more damage to Heaven's Arena. As it falls through hundreds of floors, the unstable building begins to crumble from all the damage it's taken over the last few hours. Even from below, Gon, Killua, and Finks can tell what's happened as they scramble to safety. Gon tries keeping an eye on Finks, still wary of his opponent, while Kurapika runs to save the still unconscious Kaluto. But higher up, Chrollo and Kurapika are forced to attempt a dangerous descent as Heaven's Arena crashes to the earth and settles after an explosion of dust and rubble. Gon is trapped but safe in a hallway, carefully looking for a way out, while Killua drops to the floor in exhaustion, having barely carried Kaluto to the safety out of the partially collapsed skyscraper. Finks is too injured to fight and is unable to escape before being found and beaten by Gon. Kurapika opens his eyes and begins healing himself with his chain. First his head and ears and then his body. Luckily he is still healthy enough to fight, but wonders if Chrollo was even able to survive his own attack. But of course, Chrollo emerges from the dust, amazed by how much stronger the postmortem Nin has made Phaeton's ability. Chrollo takes his book out again, then moves his bookmark to his next ability as he talks to himself, unaware of Kurapika regaining his hearing. "I wish I could have stolen Phaeton's Painpacker suit to go with the sun, but there's always a price for power. Limiting myself to one stolen ability per dead troop member was the better call, despite this setback." Chrollo sees Kurapika lying on the floor, again assuming he must be beat. He ignores Kurapika to collect his new toy, saying, "Thanks to Kurapika, I can keep you in his Nin vault until I need you." Chrollo opens a Nin portal and then begins to stuff Melody inside, so he can use her for the Dark Sonata some other time. But Kurapika quickly leaps to his feet and finally lands his Judgment Chain on a confused Chrollo. Chrollo winces from the pain as Kurapika warns Chrollo that if he disobeys him, the chain will kill him instantly. Chrollo winces this time with more boredom than pain, reminding Kurapika that they have been through this before and to get on with it. Kurapika tells Chrollo, "I'm going to kill you shortly, but it's not for revenge or because I hate you anymore. I've moved on, but you still need to be stopped for all the death and pain you've caused and will probably continue to cause for as long as you live. Any last words, Chrollo?" Chrollo laughs, saying, "So, you're over it? You don't care about the Kurta clan anymore? You don't even want to know why we killed them and took their eyes?" Kurapika is quiet for a moment, so Chrollo continues. "The only reason we went after the Kurta clan was because we were paid to. But the interesting thing is, who paid us?" Chrollo laughs again. "It was your little hunter association. They gave us the contract and wanted the eyes for God knows what. We just sold them on the black market because the hunters went back on our deal. You've been working for the people that killed your clan this whole time without knowing." Chrollo continues to mock Kurapika until he notices that Kurapika isn't reacting. He asks, "What's wrong, kid? Are you in shock? Planning your next killing spree?" Chrollo waits for an answer, but is surprised when Kurapika simply says, "No, I'm not. I told you I'm done with this. I'm not a stone cold killer like you. I'll have to live with the guilt of what I've done for the rest of my life. I just hope whoever's responsible for what happened to my clan feels that guilt too. Or at least fear when they hear what's happened to the Troupe." Chrollo begins to panic, knowing he truly might die here. He tries making a deal, saying, "Well, we can go after the hunters together, find out who's really responsible, if you want." But Chrollo can see that Kurapika has truly let go of his hate and rage, and is moving past his clan's trauma. Chrollo tries, thinking of any way to make it out of this alive as he always does, but unable to, he just smiles and congratulates Kurapika on his victory. Kurapika's judgment chain slams into Chrollo's heart, and within seconds he is gone, and Kurapika is finally free to rest. That's it for today and this What If. I might add a bit of an updated ending when I release the full video version, so check that out when it comes out. But before you go, I wanted to thank you all for watching, especially the ones who watched from an earlier part and kept coming back. It really helps the channel, and I hope I was able to make an entertaining enough story for you guys. But again, that's all from me today. I hope you all have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you all next time.